All right, we are live on a Tuesday, coming to you from Seasons 52. I'm your host, Billy Allen. Before we bring you around the table and introduce you to our guys, Alex, Frank, and Justin, tonight we're going to be talking about little NHL action. Tuukka Rask, I think he's might be golfing. So Tuukka Rask had a tough decision. We'll get into that. The Bucks lost their first game today, so we'll be talking about that as we get into the Celtics, who won the first game against the 76ers. We look ahead to the Lakers and Trailblazers. Damian Lillard, your bubble MVP. How good are the Trailblazers set for success against the Lakers? And of course, we're going to get into the Patriots splitting reps for their quarterbacks, first couple of days in pads, and the Red Sox, losers of 8 straight, can't buy a win right now. It's tough over there. But guys, I think we have to start it out here with Tuukka Rask making a tough decision before Game 3. And ultimately, Tuukka Rask has decided to go away from the team in a move that stunned a lot of people here. Guys, what do you think about the move? And what do you think about the rumors today that Tuukka Rask was golfing locally?
This is the end of Tuukka with the Bruins. I mean, that is just look, at the end of the day, his heart wasn't in it. I get that his family's more important, but I mean, how many guys in the NHL even opted out? You're on a top, I mean, 4 team in the league, and you've got a fantastic opportunity to come in and actually win a championship, something that you haven't been able to do the other 2 times. You were part of the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, come on. I just don't think Tuukka has the heart, man. I just don't think he's a Boston guy. I think you've heard a lot of other ex-Boston athletes say you got to have, you got to have balls to play in Boston. You got to have something about you. And this is like a Vezina candidate just bowing out in the playoffs and leaving his team high and dry to go play golf instead. I mean, come on, man. What else is there to say?
It's because of that contract. I don't really think he's going anywhere unless he retires, which I would absolutely love. And look, I would have loved for him not to come. I think that's obvious in hindsight, but at least don't be here. He wasn't playing well, and even though Euro didn't play well either, at least he's in it. At least he's in it. And Tuukka Rask was not in it. He did not play well, and at least he's now done. At least he's now not going to play. He's not going to hold us back. We might have a completely different problem because Euro's Halak looked awful, but at least he's done. And as for the golfing thing, I really hope that's not true because I genuinely, you never hold it against somebody he didn't want to come play. That's fine. Don't hold it against somebody who wants to be with his family. That's fine. But if you're golfing, if you care enough, golfing is something you do as a leisure sport. You don't do it with your family. Last time I checked. So if you'd rather do that than be with your teammates, that's something I find highly questionable.
Yeah. not going to blame it all on him, but hopefully we get forward. I think they should have come up with something where Tuukka Rask got together with the team. It clearly seems like if you listen to him after the games, kept talking about how he was facing it like an exhibition. Just seemed like his heart really wasn't in it the whole time. And I think he should have gotten together with the team beforehand to make an announcement, not just make it a couple games in where it's clear that the buy-in wasn't all the way there. I think he probably knew a couple games before whether or not that buy-in was ultimately there, and kept talking about the fact that it was an exhibition game. He wasn't really, they were looking to flip the switch. So, and Justin also brings up a great point in 2014 when he sat out that game against Finland. I mean, that's like, the Finland game, that's like the biggest thing in his country. And, the guy got hung over and didn't even give a crap about it. So says a lot about him. You guys all think he's probably going to get moved. It seems like the Bruins, they really haven't said much. Do you believe in what the team says as far as they'll take him back when they can get him, or you think he's definitely out the door?
I mean, I've got another conspiracy theory for you guys. I mean, I think that the whole team was probably sick of hearing Tuukka, say things like this. I'm sure it wasn't the first day that Tuukka was complaining and, saying it doesn't feel right. He just said this in front of the media, and I think he was making a stink. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bruins were trying to make a move to get Halak in there instead of, Tuukka. And then Tuukka just said, all right, great, I'm done. And it's just, I just can't envision him back with the Bruins after this. I mean, I think the love lost. Boston is a diehard fan base, right? We live and we die with our athletes. We'll ride with them all the way through. But the one thing you can't do is you can't quit on us. And you can't be a little bitch. And Tuukka Rask, he just checked both those boxes, and I think he's just lost the respect of everyone. I think it's time for us to find a new goaltender, one that can hopefully win a Stanley Cup, a la Tim Thomas, that's the standard, right? I want a guy like that in the net. I can't imagine Tim Thomas bowing down to, a moment like this. I want a guy with more heart than that, and that's what Boston athletes need.
Maybe a bit, but not. This guy's ability to not come through in the clutch is just honestly incredible. Like, you look at last year, you look at the fact that he gave up, maybe it wasn't ultimately his fault in game 7. It was an overall team effort where they lost. But you look at it this year where they had a chance. They're the top team coming in. And it's just amazing that this guy wasn't able to get up for this. Sure, there's not the fans in the stands, but the fact that Tuukka Rask couldn't get up for this, I think is just kind of disgusting. And, if we don't find out something soon about, something coming out about him sickness-wise or anything like that, if it wasn't about his kids, because it seems like he's okay playing golf, honestly, it's pretty embarrassing. And, I feel like we've just heard so much about Tuukka crapping his pants, and, he just continues to do it every time you give him a chance. It's like, they're finally going good, and, he gives it up. So it's just pretty unbelievable.
Tuukka Rask has never been better than Tim Thomas was in 2011, but he's been a better goalie in his career than Tim Thomas was. And Tuukka Rask, his career might not even be done. I think the bigger issue is I don't think he quit on the team. I think the whole team thought it was going to be an exhibition. And I think because I think the team knows a lot more than the public. So the team can't be finding out about this. If he opted out in game 1, there's no way the team and his teammates and the organization are finding out in game 1. So I guess my biggest takeaway is I think they looked at him. He said, I really don't want to be here. They said, well, hey, wait a second. Wait until the playoffs happen. See if you can get up. If you don't get up after game 1, you can go home, go be with your family. the family's always an easy out. But it's hard for me to believe that the organization and his teammates are just finding out when we are finding out as the public.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. That something, maybe something is hidden behind the scenes, but I don't know. I think it's just something where Tuukka Rask has continued to show, like, over time, it just doesn't matter. This guy will crap the bed, whether it's Game 7 at home or whether they're up a couple games into just the fact that he couldn't get up was, terrible.
Modern day great goalies don't have a great track record in Stanley Cup finals. That's what's hidden in this. If you look at Patrick Roy, Martin Brodeur, outside of that, the best goalies, the Vezina winners, don't have a great track record in the Stanley Cups in my lifetime anyway.
Tim Thomas is like, but yeah, no, I agree.
I have a bigger issue with Pastrnak than I do Tuukka.
I was just going to go there.
I mean, look, I think that we have I'm done talking about Tuukka, but I think that we have a better chance today to win the Stanley Cup than we did with Tuukka in net.
You would just rather have a guy that's got a heartbeat in there, rather than have the more talented guy.
Everybody's going to pull in the same direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we were just about to touch on it, but Pastrnak, Justin was talking about how good the offense looked, and Pastrnak hasn't really been around for it. So what do you guys make of that?
Their special teams looks good. Their even strength offense does not look good. And I honestly think him not being there, we're going to beat the Hurricanes with or without him. That's not my concern. But he needs to be there. He needed to come in. And again, hockey's a great sport. What is a lower abdomen injury anyway? You're out 2 to 8 weeks. But at the end of the day, he didn't come into the bubble ready to play, and that's a problem.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to do it for our little hockey minute here. We do want to flip over to the NBA. I mean, I think we want to start things out with yesterday. We had a battle between Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. Ultimately, Jamal Murray came out on top. But guys, what do we learn from that matchup? What do we learn from Donovan Mitchell's 57 points in a losing effort?
Old school Western shootout that you just love to see. Now, I could take like a victory lap on Donovan Mitchell, but I won't because he lost. And ultimately, I can give you a passing grade. I can't give you an A+. I can't say you were phenomenal. Even though Michael Jordan lost and we give him full credit, he lost in the Garden in that 63-point game. He lost. But the bigger thing is this is tremendous. This NBA bubble has been tremendous. All these games are close. The no fans aspect, no home, no road, makes all these role players predictable, which in turn makes these games close. It makes the ebbs and flows and waves a little bit more manageable for each team. It's honestly tremendous, and this game in particular was the best game. It was the first game on. It was the best game all day. As good as the other games were, it was the best game, and this was absolutely fantastic. It's everything you love about Western shootouts, just back and forth. Can you top this? I think Murray's a much better three-point shooter. I don't think either one is an elite three-point shooter. So it's my type of basketball, watching these guys drive to the basket and their mid-range game.
See, I'll disagree with you right there. I think Murray is an elite three-point shooter. The way he was knocking down shots and matching Donovan Mitchell, it was unbelievable to see, though. And Murray, man, I mean, I've been saying for a while that kid, he can be special. I mean, since he was at Kentucky, I liked him. He's shown it on a big stage. I mean, you saw guys like Michael Porter Jr., who have been the talk of the bubble, kind of retract a little bit. Bull, Justin's guy, didn't get much playing time, and the Nuggets still pulled it out. And that says all you need to know about Jamal Murray. Jokic obviously was great. That was just two great matchups. It was a two-man game versus two-man game. Gobert and Mitchell versus Jokic and Murray, and it was so much fun to watch. So much fun.
Most intriguing first round matchup.
Truly intriguing. I mean, you got to also factor in that Trailblazers, and I actually love the West first round matchups this year. But I definitely, I think that's the one you look at and you're like, this could go either way. This is the matchup in the West where you really don't know who's coming out on top. I think after that first game, the Nuggets are on their way to locking it up in 6 or 7. But, I mean, that was a battle. When watching the whole game, you didn't think for a second the Jazz weren't going to pull it out. And Murray and the rest of that Nuggets team just stepped up, and they took them over, gave the Jazz too much for them to handle. And that was it.
But the Nuggets are, talent-wise, far and beyond much more talented and deeper than the Jazz are, especially with Conley out. So that game is ultimate respect to Donovan Mitchell, what he just did. He looked like Dwayne Wade in like the 2006 NBA Finals in that game. He literally could not be stopped, and it was his shot every single time.
He can get the ball in the half court, though.
Yeah, exactly. Donovan Mitchell, to me, is like
You should watch.
I think the Nuggets are potentially going to the Western Conference Finals. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat one of the LA teams because of how deep they are. Might even be the Lakers. Who knows? I don't know if this is going to be the Lakers year.
They are absolutely not beating either LA team, but I respect your opinion.
I would also say that they're not going to beat either LA team, but we'll respect the opinion as well. I mean, I think we have a hell of a series on our hands here, guys. I mean, Donovan Mitchell versus Murray. I don't think Murray can be as consistent as a go-to, like on fire. I mean, we saw him play kind of out of his shoes the other day. I don't know if he necessarily is going to do that over a series, but I do agree. I think the Nuggets' depth is ultimately what's going to get them. You kind of look at the Jazz as, Conley is clearly not the same. It's really Donovan Mitchell and Gobert kind of working there. And I think when you have guys like Porter that you can just pull into the equation like nothing, or you have guys like Bol to be able to have that depth and not even really play those guys shows you what they're working with. And I think ultimately we're looking at a pretty good series where we go 6 or 7 games, but I like the Nuggets to come out on top of this one. We saw the Raptors ultimately beat up pretty good on the Nets. And as Celtics fans, what were your biggest takeaways in that one?
The Nets defense was – the Raptors defense was unbelievable. Swarmed them at every single turn. They closed out. They are a phenomenal team. They're reminiscent of when they had DeMar DeRozan. They're reminiscent of those early 2010 Hawks teams. They're not very scary to me. They're going to cakewalk through this matchup, but they're not very scary to me. Pascal Siakam isn't there yet. Kyle Lowry's overrated. He's a great point guard, great team player, but he's not elite. But it was tremendous to watch that team play because Nick Nurse has done a great job coaching them, and they are just that. They're a consummate team who plays great defense and is always in the right position.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I'm with you. That game was a lot. I was very concerned there for a second when the Nets came firing back in the third quarter, but the Raptors just put their foot on the throat of the Nets and took them out. The talent discrepancy between these two teams is a joke. The Nets, I mean, what they're putting out there, that is not a playoff team. There's probably 10 teams probably realistically in the NBA you could argue would be better off in the playoffs than the Nets right now. All the more power to them for making it there. Yes, they're not playing any of their top 3 players.
Suns could have been in that spot.
The Suns could not have been in that spot because they're in the West, but I feel you. The Suns.
Theoretically, you did what you could to get Zion in the bubble. Do what you can to get the Suns in. That Nets team is horrible.
The Raptors have by far beyond the easiest cakewalk first-round series. And they played great yesterday, but let's take into effect that they were playing the worst playoff team yesterday. They did a great job of shutting down LeVert, which is LeVert's pretty much their offense. They're a great defensive team. I don't know, when we played them 2 weeks ago, they couldn't get any shots out.
Is this Nets team the worst playoff team of all time?
I would say no. I would say that Allen Iverson probably dragged a 2001 finals team, that was almost I just feel like that team with Todd McCullough, some of the other guys. Aaron
AI was
McKay.
still on the team, though. AI was this next
Us four and Allen Iverson were on a playoff team in the NBA. We'd be better than that Nets team because we have Allen Iverson. The NBA is a players' league. If you have Allen Iverson, you're better than this Nets team. I don't care who else you have.
AI could beat this Nets team literally dragging scrubs like us. I just can't. I mean, who would stop him?
I get your point. The Nets might be the worst playoff team of all time.
This playoff team right here is the worst playoff team we've ever seen.
They have look at their starting lineup.
Let's talk about Karis LeVert for a second, though, because this whole year, Kyrie Irving's saying that we need a third star. Karis LeVert, he's playing lights out. Is he ready to be the third star on the team with Durant?
No.
Irving? Maybe not.
No.
He's a damn good player.
He can be a third option. He can't be a third option on a team with Durant and Kyrie.
He can be a trade piece for
he can't be that point guard with those two players on the team.
DeAndre Jordan to a 4-year, $40 million contract.
Well, it's the friend BA, Justin.
Yeah,
you know that DeAndre Jordan had to come along in that package in order for that to
That was
work.
a good
The NBA
Give away money out of their check.
Jared Allen. You do not need DeAndre.
$10 million
trade pieces.
Well, then you don't get sensitive ass Kyrie Irving over there if you don't get DeAndre Jordan. It's a friend. It's a friend league now. So that's what's.
The Nets have played this perfectly. They're building everyone's value, and they're going to trade LeVert and Dinwiddie and Jared Allen for Bradley Beal or another third star. And then their lineup's going to be Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Jordan. Who cares who the core is at that point? I mean, you just need a role player there.
If they get Bradley Beal, that team is a force. I mean, that team would be a force to be reckoned with. I'd be scared of that team. That team would clearly be the odds-on favorite in the East.
If you're the Wizards and they offer LeVert, Dinwiddie, Jared Allen for Bradley Beal, you take that and you run for the hills. You say, great, I've got my young foundation. I've got guys who I can flip the future. I've got draft picks. I mean, the Wizards, they can flip John Wall next, who, I mean, you got to make moves in the Wizards front office. I can't imagine there's another season there.
Spencer Dinwiddie is it Dinwiddie or Dinwiddie? He's a 20-point per game shooter. So is LeVert. Why do they need to trade to get Bradley Beal if they have those two? You could have a 6-man here.
Third player needs to be able to shoot the rock when he plays with two superstars. If he's Ray Allen, if he's Chris Bosh, when he gets the ball, he needs to be able to catch it and jack it up. And that's what Bradley Beal can do better than Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, or anybody else on that team right now.
Not only that, but defensively, he can play better. I mean, he can handle the rock.
Yeah, he's not that.
Yes.
But I still think that would be an absolute force to be reckoned with. I mean, my God, he would put up 25 points easily. And that would be interesting to see because normally we've seen these big threes pair up, we see one of the guys have to kind of take back from his shot load or usually move out to a stretch 4 type position. this is one where you'd be able to keep Kevin Durant, at his 3 role, and you'd be able to, have the impact. I mean, it would just be quite a assembly of talent that they'd be able to do.
How many games in until Kyrie Irving has a blowout with one of these guys?
I think if he gets Bradley Beal, he's happy. I would think that even Kyrie Irving, who has screwed up every perfect situation, would get along with Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. But again, it's kind of like Antonio Brown at this point. He keeps showing that every team he goes to, he's going to destroy. But I feel like Brooklyn's his last chance. He can't destroy Brooklyn, and especially if they get Bradley Beal.
There's no jerseys in those Raptors, so he's good. He can have a commercial and say, I want my jersey up in the Raptors. They don't have any jerseys up there, so he'll be the first.
Well, Justin, he gets to walk with the crossing guard that he had when he was 7 years old. Isn't that why he went back to New Jersey?
I thought he was so happy to be here. That had to be you, but that was a lie too.
Yeah, tough to trust anything that comes out of that guy's mouth.
We really segued here into the Kyrie Irving hate. I love it, but I hate it.
I know. I mean, Kyrie Irving was not even anywhere near this agenda, but we managed to just trounce him regardless.
He's getting dogged questionably for no reason. I'm the only person on this panel who actually likes Kyrie Irving. I like guys that are unstoppable. We had this talk before the show, but he wasn't on the docket.
All right, fine. But you were talking about him in the same context as Damian Lillard, and you can't put those guys in the same conversation right now. Especially with what Lillard's done over this past season, and the fact that Kyrie Irving played 11 games or something.
One of those guys sealed the finals game. One of those guys sealed the finals game. One of those guys
LeBron put him there.
Sure, but one of them's done it. You told me you can't hit a game-winning shot in the playoffs until you've been in the playoffs.
Right.
What?
So I'm saying get Lillard to a couple of those spots. He'll hit that shot. He's shown he can hit it last year against Oklahoma City.
Did it in a finals game in a game 7 and absolutely torched Steph Curry, the unanimous MVP, for an entire series.
Okay, it's not like Damian Lillard has no credentials. He was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They're looking like a pretty good 8 seed this year. I mean, I don't know.
Look at Kyrie making every team that he's on worse, but he's unguardable. And I think he's more unguardable than
You think he's more unguardable than Damian Lillard?
Yes.
Lillard over Kyrie every day.
Have you even watched the last 5 games? I mean,
Irving, give the stat.
How many points he's put up over the past?
No, it's shooting percentage. Give Lillard.
Oh, I'll dive in here. We'll give you some.
Irving's playoff stats against the Bucks last year.
Thank you.
Kyrie Irving was not on the Celtics last year. I'll have you know he was traded before the series. He was actually a member of the Milwaukee Bucks, helping them beat us. It's just something that the fans didn't get to.
Look, I mean, Kyrie, you could argue, is a top 5 point guard in the NBA. I mean, but Lillard is now number 1. He has moved past Steph Curry. He's moved past Westbrook. He's moved past Kyrie. Everyone else who you want to talk about. Isaiah Thomas. Just kidding. Sorry. Love you, dog. But, dude, come on, guys.
You want Damian Lillard's field goal percentage from the last 5 games? Is that what you're saying? 59.1, 53.1, 57.1, 43.5, and 61.9. And these are in 51-point games, 61-point game, 42-point games. I mean, the guy is shooting 46% from the field and 40% from 3.
Sound like Giannis free throw numbers.
Yeah, exactly. We're way up there.
Listen.
Let's go on to the Celtics.
I still want to talk about Damian Lillard and how he's amazing, but all right, fine, let's move on.
I just don't get how we're going to say Kyrie Irving is more unstoppable than Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard has single-handedly put that team on his back and led them to a Western Conference Finals. He averaged 30 points a game this year, 8 assists. I mean, he's just putting up numbers that Irving never could put up in a division that's much harder than division than Irving has played in.
Numbers, because I think that helps your point.
You want the 30-foot numbers?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that was good. Good.
Lillard has made 54 of 130, which is 41.5% shots from 40 or from at least 30 feet this season. And you're not supposed to be able to do that because as a whole, NBA shooters shot 22.9% from that range. And before the season, the record for shooting shots at 35 feet, the record was 25. Lillard made 54 of those shots this year. So that's just another thing that he's been able to do is be extremely effective way away from the basket, and another level that's made him even more unguardable because you literally have to pick the guy up at half court or he can seriously make one of these shots right in your face, as Paul George found out last season.
Yeah. If you continue to do this 35 feet away, you will be correct in this argument. I don't think he can. I don't think Steph Curry can. I think Kyrie Irving is going. I've just seen him. He's got better handles. He's a better shooter. He's a little bit more skilled. He's certainly not as proficient from that far away.
Rank the top 5 point guards right now. Where is Kyrie Irving in that?
It's probably Steph Curry, Kyrie, Damian Lillard, Luka Doncic, Russell Westbrook. I hate Russell Westbrook. I love the dog in him. I just hate the basketball player that he is.
So you're just going to find a way to make Irving the number 2 point guard?
I don't think I have to find a way to do it. Guy's got a chip. Guy's an absolute baller. Didn't Jordan lose the nickel game? Don't we talk about how great that game was? Didn't he lose? First of all, didn't he lose that game? Didn't he also lose to Shaq that same year? We don't count the loss to Shaq. We don't matter. It doesn't matter that he lost. But he scored 55 at Madison Square Garden. We like to sensationalize things.
Well, I think the sensationalized thing with Jordan for sure.
I mean, he's unstoppable. Damian Lillard is always going to shoot 41% from 35 feet away. And if he does this, it's not a conversation, really. He'll be much better.
Dame Lillard is the point god.
That's cute. That'd be magic.
Ratings up during the bubble. That's why everyone's hitting these bombs.
Everyone's hitting these balls to really let AAU arena.
Hey, don't crap on Disney World like that.
It looks much better than I thought it was. The production value of the NBA is great.
Oh, the fake fans?
No, that's awful.
You like those?
That's awful. But I thought it would be tackier, and it's just been wonderful production. But it's a $4 billion product, so I guess it should be.
Like Madden 2003.
NFL Blitz.
But like it looks terrible. It's like, I'm out there. Check to see if I'm one of the fans. You look like I can't see you because you look like a stick figure. Whatever. They're trying everything they can to get the ratings up and to get everyone involved.
The ratings are
so we've been talking about obviously Dame Lillard, but I mean, let's talk about this series that he's about to be in against the Lakers and Trailblazers. The Trailblazers, everybody said it. You've heard Colin Cowherd say it. They're probably a top 8 seed of all time. You know, how do you guys look at this matchup? Do you think that the Blazers have a realistic shot against the Lakers?
If the NBA wasn't biased, yes. If the refs aren't going to ensure the Lakers absolutely move on to round 2, there are no secrets here with the NBA in the past the NBA has. They're going to do everything they can to make sure the Lakers move on. But that Trailblazers team, now that Nurkic is back, they're deep and they're good. And Damian Lillard, no one's going to be able to guard him on that Lakers team. I don't care who you put on him. He's going to be cooking. This series is going 7 games at the very least. Like,
no one can guard Lillard, but who's going to guard LeBron on that team?
We have a lot of – most of the time, one man can't guard LeBron anyway. We're going to do team defense. If that's what I do, if I'm the Blazers, we're going to switch.
You're already on the Blazers over there? We.
I am the Blazers.
This is the same Blazers, 130 points to the Grizzlies. And who did they play before that? I'm forgetting the other team. That wasn't a good team. They let up like 140 points to that team.
The Nets. That team.
They play zero defense. I'm sorry. Like, it's going to be very high-scoring games. No one can stop Lillard. No one can stop LeBron. I think it's going to be 4-1, to be honest with you. They might keep it close tonight, but it's not going to be close series-wise.
What do you think about Nurkic coming on for the Blazers? I look at Nurkic, and he's really been a guy that like can do everything. He wasn't really fully healthy during the season. They're missing a couple pieces. I think that's why this Blazers team is coming in as an 8 seed. But I feel like Nurkic, that guy can really do everything. I mean, he's scoring like around 20. I mean, you've seen him in the bubble scoring around 20. He can grab like 15 boards, put up a 22 and 21 night the other night. And this guy can pass the ball too. I mean, 5 or 6 assists. So I think he can be a pretty good injection of life into the Blazers and make them play pretty well against the Lakers front line.
They also have Whiteside too. Let's not forget about that.
I feel like Whiteside only plays like 17 minutes a night though now.
Those teams have multiple big men, and we can't get one.
Well,
Who shot is
can't get a guy above 6'8", but that's another story.
Will Carmelo Anthony have
like our tallest guy?
Will Melo have any chance against LeBron? Any chance?
No.
No,
I agree.
LeBron's gonna dust him.
But once
I think Melo though at this point is like a third contributor on a team, and I think he's kind of settled decently into that role. Whereas LeBron is still your number 1 or number 2. So it's just a different expectation for them at this career. Is
it Gary on the Blazers? He's gonna have to be the guy to guard LeBron. It's going to be Gary on Braun. And then they're going to have to help defense down low. They're going to have to smother him outside and hope that when he gets down low, Nurkic and Whiteside can stop him before he dunks on him.
They're going to have to throw the mascot out there too. Send the whole team out there. There's no way. This is LeBron's series. Like you can kind of keep Davis somewhat in check with those big guys down low, but there's no one on the Blazers team that can guard him. And he's too smart of a player. When you double team him, he's going to find the open man. It's going to be a nightmare for them.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we get to the Celtics versus the 76ers? Last night we saw Tatum become the youngest Celtics to go 30-10. Tatum and Brown, only two Celtics players to be 23 or younger to score 25 in the same playoff game. Saw a little bit of history. And what kind of was a sluggish start for the Celtics the other night. What is your overall, for me, I feel like it looks like the Celtics could be on the verge of a sweep here, even without Gordon Hayward. Without Gordon Hayward, what do you guys think about the rest of the series? How does it shape up?
Well, first off, I just want to take a quick moment of silence. Sorry, Gordon. I mean, Jesus. Is there anyone with worse injury luck than Gordon? And the Celtics in general, for that matter. I mean, they just cannot catch a break. Everything's trending in the right direction right now. They finally had a healthy squad. Gordon suffers a 3rd-degree ankle sprain. That's tough to do. It's tough to get a 3rd-degree ankle sprain. Could have been a first, second.
Without breaking it. Without breaking it.
Yeah.
To not completely tear it and have a grade 3 is very hard.
But anyway, back to the Celtics. I mean, this is an unbelievable young team that Danny Ainge has put together. I mean, you look at the talent we have with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. A lot of these other younger guys are contributing. You're seeing Grant Williams out there balling, randomly making plays. Robert Williams, the potential that guy has. I mean, you look at him out there next to Embiid, it's like, wow, we finally got a guy who can physically at least match up with these monsters down low. I mean, if we ever make it to the finals and we're playing against what?
I can't let you get it.
What do you mean? Can't let me
be quiet. No.
Robert Williams
is not matching up physically with Joel Embiid on any day.
I'll tell you what, he looks pretty damn good.
He didn't look that good yesterday.
He looked
bad offensively. Offensively, looked
Yeah,
bad.
pretty bad.
Defensively, he still looked good.
When Joel Embiid demanded the ball, he didn't miss a shot, and he scored 11 points. And then he ate Taco Bell or did whatever Joel Embiid does where he loses complete interest, which I simply can't explain. But he was not stopped by Robert Williams at any point.
I'm not saying Robert Williams was there.
Physically with Joel Embiid, who's a bigger, stronger, more dominant player, better at everything.
Well, who would you rather have match up down there? I mean, Cantor actually looked good on Embiid yesterday, but would you rather have Tice on Embiid? Tice was the one getting.
You don't actually want Taco Fall.
Tice was the guy getting abused.
Yeah, we don't.
Multiplayer thing to say that we're going to sweep them. Going into the fourth quarter, when they had Horford and Embiid out there, they were dominating us. And then typical 76ers fashion, they go with what's working, and they just messed it all up.
Stunning, isn't it?
It's crazy. And now without Hayward,
Mike Brown for Coach of the Year.
like Tatum's going to have to guard Horford. And I mean, size difference. I wouldn't be surprised if they grab one or two. It's too big. I mean, if Embiid actually tried, this would be a 7-game series. But we all know he doesn't play any defense, and he gives up.
I think Embiid was trying, man. Give him a break. He's like the only good player out there
Early
for the
on.
Sixers.
Early on.
First 7 minutes, and
He gassed out. It's not like he wasn't trying. He's just fat.
Yeah, he needs to try to get into shape is really what he needs to
He
do.
lost a lot of weight. Look at him. He looks like a gazelle out
That's
Can you
fine.
tell me? Can you tell me what happened to Tracy McGrady? Can you tell me what happened to Penny Hardaway? Can you tell me what happened to Kobe? When people do not give Shaq the ball in Shaq's prime, he's got a problem with it. If you do not give Joel Embiid the ball, he is so happy. A part of him feels so relieved because he's tired and because he can't carry the load all 4 quarters. That's a problem. That's a
He
problem
looked
because
gassed every time he was sitting.
I think Horford is the key to this whole series. Horford destroys
notoriously bummy player at this point in his career.
Yes, I agree. Horford is just like an average player at this point, but he makes a difference out there. Whether it's setting picks to get a guy open shots, because Embiid's not going to do that. The two of them out there is a bad nightmare for the Celtics. We don't have the size, and it can't be Cantor and Tice out there. Like they don't play any. Like they're too big, and Cantor can't play defense.
I wouldn't say it's a nightmare. More of like a dream where you're in a place you shouldn't be. Not quite a nightmare, but
It's a bad matchup. It's a bad matchup.
but it's nothing we aren't going to conquer and destroy. The Celtics will win this series in 5 games. We'll drop one of the Sixers. It's what we do. Hayward's out, but I'm kind of excited to see what this team does without Hayward. More shots for Tatum and Jalen. Let him go. Let Kemba go. Let's see what they got.
If Kemba's healthy, it's not a problem. But if he's only still playing, how many minutes did he play? 30 minutes last night.
Played 35 actually. So
But now we're going to see more Marcus Smart, and I mean, oh my God.
yeah, I mean, I think you make a great point there because that really shortens the bench. And if you put Marcus Smart into a starting position, then you're really looking at Brad Wanamaker, who's going to dribble the ball off his foot. Grant Williams, who's way undersized. I mean, you really shorten up that bench, and you're going to make Marcus Smart into a shooter, and he's going to shoot. He's going to huck 10 plus threes most likely in one of these games. Now that he's cast into a role, I just think that this really does hurt them. But I think that they're still going to be okay here against the Raptors and the Bucks. I think they just still have the score. We talked about how they had 4 guys that could fill it up to 20 on every night. Now they just have 3 guys that can fill it up on 20. And I still think that's going to be good enough to be able to get through teams like Toronto and the Bucks. Are they going to be able to slice through them like it's nothing? No, these are probably 6 or 7 game series, but I still like their chances.
I'm not talking about Hayward's scoring per se. I'm talking about everything else he does. He's probably our best passer on the team. Decent defense. He does a lot of things that don't come up on the stat. I'm not trying to say Marcus Smart Jack, because every single time someone says Marcus Smart does something that doesn't show up on the scorecard, it's like the great thing. But Hayward does a lot of things.
Celtics fan bingo.
Hayward does a lot of things that Horford did last year. Saying that a lot of the offense runs through him when it's not Tatum ISO. And I do think they're going to miss that. Maybe not in this series, but potentially next year against the Raptors.
Is it Hayward's bad ankle? That's hurt?
No, it's the other one.
The other one. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy. He's rehabbed an ankle before. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back to I think back to the Bucks series. I feel like if we make it past the Raptors, we'll be back for game 1 or 2 of that Bucks series.
Well, the other thing for him is that his wife is pregnant, and he said that he will leave the bubble, for the birth of his child, and I think that's coming up in a couple weeks. So I think this could be the absolute worst timing, really, for him. He's
The
got
4-week timetable encompasses the week he was supposed to be gone for the expected due date. It's
okay.
birth,
So he'll be back for the finals if we make it there, or
final. He should be back, even including the birth of his kid. He should be back for the Eastern Conference final. That includes if his baby is due the week it's due, which may not happen, and then quarantine. A subsequent, I think, 4-day quarantine.
What I'll miss the most about Hayward is that when he's out there a lot of time, it means Smart doesn't have the ball. So, I mean,
And 6'9". We're gonna miss 6'9". He's not an elite rebounder, but he had his best career rebounding season, which I say every week on this show is our biggest weakness.
has Brad Stevens ever told Marcus Smart, "You're not a good shooter. Like, just don't shoot."
I think they encourage him to shoot more from the looks of things, or the way that he plays. He's got no conscience. He shot that ball last night. They didn't score a field goal in the last 3 minutes and 15 seconds of the game, and it's because you have guys like Marcus Smart that shoot a three-pointer with 15 seconds left on the shot clock.
If Tatum and Brown aren't open, sure, shoot it. But there were times last night he's shooting and like Tatum's wide open in the corner or Brown's wide open in the corner. Give the ball to the guy that's is on fire right now. Don't just hook up a three just to hook it up, and then they go down and get it like a two and one. It just, oh God.
What did the Celtics do? They have Marcus Smart and Daniel Tice try to close the game out from three, while they're up by 6 points with 2.5 minutes left.
I mean, Tice is like wide open at the top, and he's been pretty consistent hitting those all year. He wasn't hitting them yesterday, but I'd rather see him shoot that than Marcus Smart shoot.
Guys, Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens want those shots taken. They want everybody. That's why we don't have big men. That's why we can't rebound. They prioritize being between 6'5" and 6'8", being able to play two sides of the ball and shoot threes, and that's what we want. That's what we want from Tyson. That's what we want from Smart. Because in the scheme of our offense, we are going to make a ton of those shots to win. We're going to do it with Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder. We're going to do it with Marcus Smart and Jalen Brown. We're going to do it with everybody on the team because that's what we want. We built this team for better or worse.
So here's
actually get the shots.
So here's the thing. 4 weeks from now, the conference finals are scheduled to begin. We can beat we will beat the Sixers without Hayward. No question there. No one's debating that. It's not a topic of discussion. Can we beat the Raptors without Hayward? I mean, the Raptors basically have their superstar forward because Kawhi's gone. Can the Celtics beat the Raptors without Gordon Hayward? I don't know. I don't know if they actually can. This Raptors team has looked very, very good. What's going to happen in that series?
I just think Marcus Smart his role in this series is kind of not irrelevant, but he's great at guarding guards in some wings. Well, Harris is going to be getting guarded by Tatum or Brown. Next round, you can have Smart on Van Fleet or Lowry. That's going to come up huge on the defensive end.
Put him on Van Fleet is what I was going to say.
This series, who was he guarding? Richardson, who shot the ball 4 times, or like it's kind of a matchup. I mean, it's just they're so big, and those players, unfortunately, I mean, we know he's guarded big guys in the past, but you can't have him do that for the entire game.
I think that without Hayward, the more I look at it, the more I think about it, we're in trouble against the Raptors. It's going to be a very tough series. The only way we win it is if we see our 2 young Jays take that big step forward in the playoffs, and they're both doing exactly what they did last night, and that score 30 points a game and just dominate. I mean, Marcus Smart is still playing center for that Raptors team, I don't think that's a plus matchup for us. Pascal Siakam versus Tatum, I guess you can give that to the Celtics, right? But it's going to be a very tough series, man. I'm worried.
Who's going to guard Tatum or Brown on the Raptors? I mean, Siakam may be on Tatum, but who's going to guard Brown?
We've three players.
Yeah, OG and Unbe.
I think it's like line play. People don't like to talk about it. It's super important and it's super indicative of winning. So I do think we're going to struggle in every series we play because we can't rebound the effing ball. And Gordon Hayward's 6'9", 8 rebounds a game are gone now. But we're going to win still, I think. The Raptors, as I said earlier, don't scam me.
But we make Brook Lopez look like the rebounding leader of the NBA. He does not get defensive rebounds.
Mark and Serge Walker are going to play volleyball. It's going to be frustrating to watch from the Celtics fan, and that's why those games are going to be close. But I think we're going to win because I believe in stars. We have top three players in that series. Arguably the two best on the night.
I would argue that we do have the two best, and I would say that, I would probably say Siakam is probably set, but I think we may be putting a little bit too much into Marc Gasol. I mean, the guy's averaging 7.5 points a game. I don't think he's quite the same guy that.
Oh, he's fat now.
I mean,
7-1 versus Grant Williams matters though. Even though he is bad, he's not the same player, but he's very, very tall in a game where height very much matters. I watched Kendrick Perkins go down, and that Lakers team just absolutely bat the ball around on the offensive rebounds until the friggin' went in. Odom, Bynum, and Gasol owned it, and we had nobody tall, and we have nobody tall right now. I've just seen it happen before.
I just see Ibaka coming off the bench and just having instant impact. A couple offensive rebounds. Ibaka scares me more than Gasol does. He doesn't even start. Him coming off the bench, that means Kanter's guarding him. Ibaka can stretch the floor, and he's much more athletically gifted than Kanter is. And if that's just Kanter, our big man, guarding him, he's going to be putting up probably around close to 15 a game, and it's going to hurt us.
Yeah, but is Ibaka really like the secret weapon here for the Raptors? I mean, they have some good height.
The way they should go. I mean, that's our weakness.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have some good height, but I think it's also going to be something to make them all come out and guard the Jays, to be able to come out and guard Tatum and Brown on the I just don't think they match up particularly well in that regard either. The Celtics are going to try to space it out as much as they can. The Raptors are going to try to pack it in as much as they can. And, we'll see who wins that. Moving on to the NFL. Alex Smith returned to the practice field after 2 years after a near amputation. Some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, I honestly can't remember anybody being off the field for 2 years and coming back other than Garrett and Hurst, that back for the 49ers, who went through a couple big leg injuries and knee injuries and stuff like that. But Alex Smith pretty much, couldn't walk a couple of years ago, and now he's back on the practice field, fighting for a starting spot with Dwayne Haskins. What do we make of this guy? Some pretty big news this week.
Great story. Not going to have any impact or actually get to go out there and truly play, but great story. Happy for the guy. No one's been through more on from an NFL player perspective than Alex Smith has. So,
do you think there's any way he starts?
0% chance.
I think there's a chance he starts. They have two pretty bad quarterbacks there.
Dwayne
on the
Haskins,
Washington
not bad.
team. Dwayne Haskins is
Alex
not good.
loves Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, I get it. Alex Smith is one of the best comeback stories that's ever been in sports, regardless of whether he starts or plays another game. And no fan – well, I shouldn't say no fan. Very few fans not related to Alex Smith care about this story besides the fact that it's miraculous. It's not exciting. It's not going to lead any show. But, guys, this is literally like if Theismann were to have come back. Like, this is unbelievable. This is fantastic. And because the Washington football team has such bad quarterbacks, he might get to play. And how great a story would that be? And people still wouldn't care because they'd be bad. But it would be a great story.
No, number one, he was the first draft pick, right, out of Utah?
Yeah.
Like, his first couple years were rough, but then once Harbaugh got there, did great things. Kaepernick comes in, gets replaced, goes to the Chiefs, has a good couple years, goes a couple Pro Bowls. Obviously, Pat Mahomes. But then when he went to the Redskins, they were 6-2 before he got that injury. Like, he's not a guy that you want on your fantasy football team, but the guy knows how to win games. And I wish nothing but the best.
He knows how to lose games.
Exactly.
Yes, he is a game manager in the sense where it's a compliment.
Exactly, but guys gravitate towards him, and he can get a locker room around him. I hope that he has another chance to start. It's just, I mean, how much can he actually do?
He's a 38-year-old that coming off one of the worst leg injuries. Is he 36? 36?
Aaron Rodgers is
I take him over Matt Castle. Or not.
I'm almost positive.
Yes.
Let me look up.
I'll look up his age.
Alexa, how old is Alex Smith?
Who would be better start? Colin Kaepernick or Alex Smith this year?
This year,
I would start Alex Smith because I think that guy at least has some heart and wants to play the game. I feel like Kaepernick, that guy has dodged every opportunity he's had to play the game. We see all these other guys pick up a clipboard. Colt McCoy, Robert Griffin III.
Kaepernick's quarterback rating his last year was 96.
I would rather have Kaepernick.
Colt McCoy is still a backup in this league, and
me,
he's
it
in that type of position, whereas Kaepernick hasn't. He's stayed on the other side and said, okay, I'll make money off my stance against the
Kaepernick all day.
He hasn't played a game in 4 years, and there's one thing about the body continuing to decline over a certain amount of time. Alex Smith's arm isn't going to decline. He wasn't this guy that's rushing for 180 yards a game. Put him in a decent offense with a good offensive line. I'm not saying he's going to the Pro Bowl, but I think he could get a team to 9-7.
Also, they had Joe Theismann on, and he was talking about how his injury, he actually got back into form. He said it was more so that he was too old, and it was a different time. He said by the time he was 37, his knee was completely right. He was trying to make a comeback, all that. And it was more so because of his age. I think nowadays quarterbacks, we give them this additional, like, we accept that quarterbacks can play till 42 now, whereas before when you were 36, you were completely done. So I think Alex Smith does have some type of, if he is 36, do we look it up? But he is. So he's 36. So that's much younger than Theismann was. Theismann was around that age, but I think just with the way the quarterbacks play, and we expect them to play longer, I think, he's got a chance to at least play some games, especially with Dwayne Haskins there. Dwayne Haskins was not good last year.
Despite Alex's bye.
It was the most trash offense in the NFL. Jay Gruden was having hooker parties with Dan Snyder and not making game plans. That was confirmed.
Hey, Dan Snyder isn't tied to any of that.
That was a complete joke of an offense. The O-line wasn't blocking. He had one weapon on the whole team. Dwayne Haskins is going to show up this year, and he's going to drop a lot of touchdowns, and he's going to
read
Washington football team.
Is he going to read defenses? The guy has a cannon for an arm. Can he read defenses?
Yes.
When they drop
He was a rookie. He was a goddamn rookie. He was a rookie.
Just so we're clear, quarterbacks have histories of sophomore slumps, not rookie slumps. Just so we're clear, like if we're going by history.
Really? What did Tom Brady do his first year in the league?
His first year starting or his first year in the league?
His first year in the league, he did nothing.
Yes.
And his second year, he won the Super Bowl, and Dwayne Haskins is going to show what he's made of in year 2.
Yeah, but he wasn't bad that year before. In his first year, he didn't do anything. He wasn't bad.
What do you mean he came on strong at the end of the year? They gave him the reins late in the season. I mean, come on. You guys everyone's so airheaded about Dwayne Haskins. He's got potential.
Oh, no, he's got potential. He just can't read defense.
He's Jamarcus Russell 2.0.
He is not Jamarcus Russell 2.0. That was rude. That is racial. It's because he's black, and I will not accept it. That was racial, Justin.
Jamarcus Russell could move.
Would you rather have Dwayne Haskins or Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, absolutely.
Dwayne Haskins or Drew Lock?
Drew Lock, quarterback in that draft class.
Okay, so what about Gardner Minshew or Dwayne Haskins?
Dwayne Haskins, hands down.
You want the most
Haskins, hands down.
Stidham or Haskins?
Haskins, hands down.
Depends on my organization.
I think I'm going Stidham there. I don't know.
Who's on my team?
I feel like Haskins is a bust. I feel like he's a bust.
Haskins in the system, and he probably could be decent. Maybe it's Kobe Brissett, like somewhat of a decent quarterback.
Haskins is much more prototypical. I don't think he knows football.
Which is why we need to give him a break. He had Jay Gruden's fat ass as his head coach. Everyone needs to give him a break.
Don't a couple Pro Bowl quarterbacks have their best season under Jay Gruden?
Oh, who are you gonna bring up? Kirk Cousins and yeah,
he was checked out though. Jay Gruden didn't even want to play the kid.
He's just a really good offensive coach though. He's a bad head coach. A really good offensive coach though. So you're talking about a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean kind of talked about the Ravens and how good they are. It looks like they may be getting even stronger. They're going to be bringing in Des Bryant for a workout. And Des Bryant, I think that would be a nice little binky for Lamar Jackson, somebody who can kind of sit there as a possession receiver. We don't know what Des Bryant has, obviously, but he's a big guy that typically didn't make the separation but can go up there and get the catches. I like the signing for the Ravens. I think they should do it. I think Lamar Jackson, that's only going to help. I think he's going to need help coming along in the passing game. So I think a guy like Des Bryant's going to be pretty good for him. What do you guys think?
Yay. Bring him in. Give Lamar someone who can catch a football, right? They've got Hollywood, who's coming back 20 pounds heavier, probably going to be an absolute beast this year. They've got Devin Duvernay, who I think is probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in this draft class. And then they've also got if they actually bring in Des Bryant, that receiving corps, that takes a significant jump to the point where I think that we could actually see them bring home a championship.
Des Bryant should go to the Philadelphia Eagles. That would actually be a good fit for Carson Wentz. Lamar Jackson does not throw the ball to the outside. He's just, if he throws it, it's deep to like a couple times a game, but it's primarily to the tight ends and to the running backs. He's not this quarterback that throws to the outside, which Des Bryant is. And you can't run the deep ball anymore. He's a little bit older. He's going to be running 10, 15 yard out. Primarily what he's going to do, he's going to be effective in the red zone.
There was a time before Julio Jones made a Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
When there was a debate, Dez or Julio. And Julio was maybe even the more physically dominating player. And that was about 8 years ago. He tore his ACL the second day he was in New Orleans. Des Bryant is toast.
It was his Achilles injury.
Who cares?
Get his injury correct. Or don't say it.
Not even worse. A 30-year-old wide receiver with an Achilles injury is awful. It's not good.
Yeah, but how about this? Last year, Lamar Jackson was the MVP, and his top receiver was Hollywood Brown with like 582 yards. You don't think this is going to help him? You don't think this is going to help? Yes.
It will help him tremendously. And Lamar
Jackson give him a big possession.
The reason the Ravens lost in the playoffs was because all their wide receivers, Willie Smith, Willie Snead, Seth Reynolds, whoever the hell they had out there, were trash and they were dropping everything.
They changed their offense from the year prior. They changed it to fit this Louisville offense. It was primarily tight end base and the play action, not play action, the whatever they call it,
RPO.
Yeah, RPO. That's primarily what the offense is. They're not all of a sudden just going to change it, and because of a 30-year-old wide receiver that hasn't played a game.
It doesn't help to take a flyer on Des Bryant.
Take a flyer on him. I just don't see how that's going to make Lamar Jackson all of a sudden be this.
His top receiver had 500 yards last year.
I understand.
You don't want him to have a guy that can get 1,000. I mean, I don't know.
Des Bryant cannot get 1,000.
I'm not saying Des Bryant's going to get 1,000 yards. I'm just saying his top receiver had 500 yards. I think it's going to help to give him another wide receiver.
Yes, but this is not another wide receiver. This is us signing Joey Galloway. This is us signing Reggie Wade. This is a guy who could never run routes. He had tails all over the place, led to interceptions, and he lost the ability to win those 50-50 battles and separate. And that was before he tore his Achilles.
His YouTube videos look great. He's playing against his
Well, so did Cam.
T.O. 40, that look great.
I would take the that's a different because I would take T.O. like 46.
He's running like in the 4.4.
He ran a 4.4 too. Man's 46 years old.
Insane.
He ran.
There'll never be a more conditioned 46-year-old than T.O., I don't think. Next question. Well, hey, that's going to do it for us this week on Open Season. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll catch you next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Take care and be safe.